Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Making Paperless Finance a Reality, How Automation Adds Up to Significant Time Savings. My name is Ryan Woodward, and I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Sage Intacct, and I've worked in the B2B cloud software space for the last 10 years across a number of solutions, including financial management, payroll, time tracking, HR, and supply chain. I joined Sage Intacct a little over a year ago, and I'm excited today to be talking with you all about how cloud financial management and automation can help streamline processes and boost your finance team's efficiency. Here's a quick look at our agenda for today's webinar. We'll start out by talking about really what is the real cost of these manual processes in finance. Touch on a few areas where cloud-based systems such as Sage Intacct can help drive automation, and then we'll quickly wrap up. Before we get started, I wanted to point out that the use cases we're looking at today are by no means an exhaustive list. There are a lot more ways that cloud financial management drives automation, but these are just some of the key topics we hear come up in a lot of our conversations with customers. So now, let's dive in. While the concept of paperless finance isn't a new one, it's something that's often been overpromised and underdelivered. It's a topic that, as a result, has garnered a healthy amount of skepticism and produced its fair share of eye-rolling whenever it's brought up. But much like how the thought of having electricity or computer in every house seemed like a pie-in-the-sky dream at one point in time, they really just needed the right infrastructure, technology, and most importantly, the buy-in and adoption of people to make it a reality. We've seen a similar path with paperless finance. It needed the right solutions, the right technology and infrastructure, and a change in mindset and behavior to make it not only viable, but something people strive for today. We've already seen paper starting to disappear from processes as more and more automation gets built into everything we use today. With the global pandemic leaving many organizations scrambling to implement digital alternatives to existing paper-based processes, automation and paperless finance has been given a renewed focus. So, let's start by taking a look at how much manual processes can be costing you and how cloud financial management is making the vision of paperless finance a reality. So how much are manual processes such as hunting down information really costing you? Well, according to a 2020 report by McKinsey, a third of the time in the workplace across all occupations involves collecting and processing data. That can include time spent searching for documents or passing documents back and forth for approvals. Think like trying to secure an approval for a purchase order, for example. These are usually heavy manual, paper-laden processes, and the need for automation in these areas is high. And as I mentioned on the previous slide, the global pandemic really brought all this back to the forefront because efficient processes and freedom from paper-based workflows became more important than ever. The pandemic brought about widespread remote work, whether organizations were ready for it or not, and accelerated the paperless trend because employees couldn't be in the office to cut checks, get approval signatures, or perform any other tasks they typically did manually. And so going paperless was really accelerated during the pandemic, and there's no reason to go back to paper-based processes. And according to another report by Deloitte, adding technology to eliminate paper from the process can reduce operating expenses by as much as 25%. This also enables these organizations to refocus their time on higher value work like scenario analysis, budget planning, pricing, and customer experiences. So let's look at the ways that cloud financial management provides the foundation for extensive automation in those daily time-consuming tasks. So before we dive into any specific examples, let's take a look at what this meant for one organization. In the case of Velocity EHS, who's on Sage Intacct, automation meant the business could scale with 30% growth, save 3+ weeks each month of manual work, and save $160,000 in costs with a streamlined accounting function. They avoided having to hire at least one full-time contractor for AR and collections, meanwhile freeing up other members of the accounting team for more strategic work. For example, they moved beyond working on the books solely for GAAP or tax purposes and analyzed revenue by product and examined the breakout of departments for planning and budgeting. They began tracking accounts aging by product line to help the company refine service processes. And really, all of this helps Velocity EHS more closely monitor its current revenue reserves and reforecast throughout the year as needed, so the business can make smarter, more timely hiring and other spending decisions. Now let's take a look at the first area we're going to look at today, accounts payable, specifically purchase order entry and workflows. Up until a year ago, you were possibly printing out and actually walking around physical copies of purchase orders to get them signed for approvals. It's likely now you don't have to print and walk your POs around, but getting approvals via emails can still take about 1 to 2 hours of effort and 2 days of elapsed time. Take that timeline and multiply it by the dozens to hundreds of purchases for different vendors, and you have a situation that can really hold your organization back from making optimal purchases. Whether you have paper POs or relying on email back and forths, your organization would benefit from having a faster, more streamlined purchase order workflow. And with Sage Intacct, you can automatically route purchase requests for approval. So instead of hours of effort, it can take just 5 minutes. We've actually had a customer go from 120 minutes to just 5 minutes. And that's a 96% reduction in effort. Not to mention, you can then use that time to make smarter purchases and save your organization money. So Sage Intacct comes with a standard workflow for purchasing transactions, which you can customize, that goes from creating a purchase requisition all the way through to creating a vendor invoice. And with a solution like Sage Intacct, you can set up these paperless workflows and speed up the approval process. And then you can also go in and configure levels of approval that kick in only once certain criteria are met, and then send those automated messages to the approvers. For example, you can configure approvals that kick in at certain dollar thresholds, by department, or by other variables. Approvers can also approve transactions from their phones, tablets, or computers. And by automatically communicating pending approvals with managers, there's no more walkarounds or email sends, or at least they're a lot less often. And all this together works to speed up the approval process, freeing up time for you and your colleagues to spend more time on that value-added work and less time chasing down approvals. And going beyond just the increases in efficiency you get from that automation, you also get increased visibility into your spending with the cloud system that can really benefit your bottom line. Easily set up a procurement dashboard to view budget to actuals, analyze costs, and see the entire procure to pay process. The time you save can be spent on higher value analysis like vendor and price evaluation, giving you a better ability to negotiate. And since Sage Intacct gives current, consolidated views across your entities and drill down capabilities, you can easily evaluate vendor spend across entities for precise decision making. And now let's take a look at what happens after you create that vendor invoice and what you can do to automate the vendor payment process. So I just spent some time talking about what happens on the front end of the vendor payment process, going from the purchase rec to the vendor bill or invoice. But once you've generated that bill or invoice, the process of paying vendors has traditionally been highly manual, error-prone, costly, and can take as long as 30 days to go from a bill to reconciliation. And on average, it costs $12 to $30 to process a single supplier bill manually. A large portion of those costs come from two main areas: the time tied up in manual tasks, such as reconciliation, getting checks signed, and then stuffing and mailing envelopes. And two, the cost for materials such as check stock, stamps, envelopes, etc. And plus, once that process is complete, you have all that supporting documentation that needs to be filed away. And if you can't get through all of your bills efficiently, things start to pile up. Take Brookfield Asset Management, for example. Their previously manual process led to a backlog of over 100 bills, leaving the AP team working late just to try and keep up. But cloud solutions such as Sage Intacct are helping reimagine the vendor payment process. While many cloud vendors, including Sage Intacct, have partnerships with AP automation providers, only Sage Intacct has taken the next step and built out a solution that delivers one seamless experience from bill to payment to reconciliation, enabling you to pay your vendors up to 90% faster. And this solution, Vendor Payments Powered by CSI, was actually developed in partnership with CSI, or Corporate Spending Innovations. And what it enables you to do is automate your payments without ever leaving Sage Intacct. And so once you submit your payment in Sage Intacct, Corporate Spending Innovations takes over and handles the printing and mailing of checks, the funding and processing of ACH payments, or the payments by virtual card, whichever payment method you prefer. It also provides detailed reconciliation information so you can easily match bills and payments. You're also able to eliminate payment blind spots with full visibility into the status of your payments by providing you detailed status updates at every stage. And the solution fits right into your existing workflows and approvals with Sage Intacct, all while significantly lowering your transaction costs, enabling you to potentially recoup thousands of dollars of lost productivity per month, potentially open up a new revenue stream with cash rebates on virtual card payments, and helping your AP department take another step towards going paperless by capturing and storing all supporting documentation in the cloud. Easy to set up and included as part of your Sage Intacct subscription, you can quickly get up and running, allowing your AP team to spend less time processing and paying bills and instead focus on activities such as improving relationships with suppliers and ensuring adherence to payment terms to help reduce late payment fees and take advantage of early payment discounts. So now let's take a quick look at accounts receivable, and in particular, subscription billing and revenue recognition. So ask yourself, are you managing invoices the old way with massive spreadsheets and tabs that need to be maintained for every customer? And do you, as a result, struggle to stay compliant with revenue recognition standards? Another thing to be aware of is that according to research that we've done, 10 to 30% of manual journal entries can have errors in them. And if you have 100 to 200 invoices or contracts per month, it becomes nightmarish to maintain them in a spreadsheet. But you don't have to wait until it gets to that point. And while you may not be doing subscription billing today, the market is trending towards a subscription economy over the next 10 years, so you might be at some point. And this is something, again, that we saw COVID accelerate, when companies that followed the fee-for-service model lost revenue streams, but subscription services were able to maintain their revenue during the spending downturn. So if you're at the point where you can no longer maintain the spreadsheets for your billing and revenue recognition, or simply trying to get ahead for your business, you can use Cloud Financial Management to set up automated revenue schedules for recurring orders and revenue recognition. Say you have a subscription that you're billing out for a number of years. You have deferred revenue during those years and can view the RevRec schedule within the system, where Sage Intacct is automating revenue recognition for you with proration for those partial months, and then it'll book that revenue for you. Sage Intacct also supports ASC 606 and IFRS 15 compliance. So why maintain massive spreadsheets and risk not being in compliance when you can automate these tasks? So without a cloud solution to do it for you, you're stuck maintaining billing schedules and calculating revenue recognition in Excel, or potentially outsourcing it. And either way, it's going to be costly. So let's take a quick look at another customer example. By switching to Sage Intacct, Avenue Insights and Analytics saved on the cost of not having to hire 10 revenue accountants to manage their revenue recognition. They also reduced DSO by over 10 days, cut AR aging in half, and accelerated $2 million in cash flow. And with visibility into their costs and revenue, they could make decisions that improved their gross margins. And Mike Melka, CFO of Avenue Analytics and Insights, really captures this when he says, Sage Intacct has helped us improve our bottom line, deliver results faster, and scale the business very efficiently. It's really our backbone, and I couldn't be happier. So now let's take a look into cash management and bank reconciliations. So really, what is the true cost of manual reconciliations? How much time do you spend each month on bank reconciliations? And are you aware of any opportunities that are lost without insight into your cash position? For the customers that we've spoken to who were previously on on-premises systems, bank recs would easily take 10 plus hours each month, plus more time spent investigating and chasing down discrepancies between statements and the GL balances. And this would be done during the high pressure time of the close, which also means that reliable insight into their cash positions had to wait until after the close. And one of our customers, Hallstatt, a real estate private equity firm, pointed out that because they got better insight into their cash position, they were able to make better investment decisions, enabling them to make 3 additional investments. So, knowing your cash position at any moment is incredibly powerful. And through automation and streamlining cash management, you're then able to close the books faster, which is key to getting the current, accurate information you need for management decisions. And while this is important in normal times, it's been incredibly important this last year and really essential in helping organizations thrive through times of uncertainty. And on cloud financial management like Sage Intacct, you can have cash information on all your accounts and cash movements at any time. Sage Intacct connects to thousands of financial institutions globally to give you a current, accurate picture of your cash. And it takes out the manual work by automatically matching transactions for connected bank and credit card accounts daily, so you can trust your information at any point in the period. And with that picture of your cash position, you also need to be able to direct cash easily to where it needs to go without busy work or delays. And outside of, automating and streamlining processes such as bank reconciliations, one of the keys to getting a clear picture of your cash footprint and working capital so you can make those data-driven decisions are dashboards and reports. You're able to maintain visibility and control of your cash on hand. You're able to look at key indicators by using the scorecards at the top of the dashboard that point out areas that need your attention. And you're able to adjust these dashboards on the fly. So you're able to add content, delete content from the dashboard with just a few clicks and using that drag and drop functionality. And so now let's take a look at our last main topic for the day, audit-ready financials. Let's face it, getting audited isn't pleasant, and it can often lead you and your team to lose hours to days as you go back through transactions in question, examine the compliance of the entry maker, and look for old supporting documentation. And the longer an audit takes, the more it costs your company. But Sage Intacct builds in efficient and compliant processes so you can be sure you have audit-ready financials. So let's take a closer look at that. And so one of the things that Sage Intacct does to streamline audits is by enabling you to create auditor-specific dashboards. This really minimizes the disruptions to your workflows since your auditor can find the information and run the reports that they need themselves with auditor-specific access. And Sage Intacct reports are drillable, giving the auditors the ability to click down into the underlying transactions. And with the traceability of each transaction, you no longer have to wonder or manually track down the history of an entry. And approval workflows can be enabled to make sure the processes are being followed. So the next time you get audited, your auditor will have what they need to answer the questions themselves with less disruptions to your day. And I think this idea of audit-ready financials is really exemplified by Pavlon. So before moving to Sage Intacct, Pavlon would have auditors on site for 4 to 5 days, and then would take another 30 days or more to complete the audit and wrap things up. But since moving to Sage Intacct, audits have become a piece of cake. With built-in audit trails and the ability to enable auditors to quickly find the information they need with self-service capabilities, such as those dashboards we talked about just on the previous slide, the auditors are now only on site conducting personal interviews for 2.5 days, and then the audited statements and tax returns are completed shortly after, an over 50% decrease in the time to complete audits. So today we've talked through a number of ways that Sage Intacct and Cloud Financial Management can help you streamline your processes and go paperless through automation. But let's take a closer look at a couple more customer examples before we move on. ACUI, for example, was able to cut the time spent on reconciliations from 5 hours to 5 minutes. Meals on Wheels America was able to spend 60% less time preparing for audits. Comet Sales eliminated 100 hours of manual data entry. Monterey Peninsula Foundation was able to save 850 hours per year on AP and reporting. PCF was able to speed up their AR processing and client billing by 50%. And lastly, World Learning was able to save over 1,200 hours yearly with paperless processes. So as we wrap up today, I just wanted to quickly recap a few of the ways that Cloud Financial Management and Sage Intacct in particular are helping make paperless possible. We touched on how AR and AP can drive automation through paperless workflows and seamless vendor payments so that POs, PRs, and invoices don't get lost in the shuffle. How by automating bank reconciliations, you can eliminate tedious work in spreadsheets and always know your cash position. How you can eliminate the need to keep filing cabinets full of documentation by attaching documents directly to transactions in the system. And lastly, how you can streamline and reduce risk during audits with detailed audit trails and self-serve auditor dashboards. If you're interested in learning more, we offer a number of resources on our website. Everything from a free trial for you to get that hands-on experience or a variety of upcoming webinars. Please follow us on Twitter and connect with us on Facebook, or you can call us directly at the number on the screen. So I really hope you enjoyed today's webinar, and now the next time you hear the term paperless finance, you'll know that it's more than just a buzzword.